Welcome to Forensic Friday,
where we examine the intersection of true crime, psychology, and the heart of being human in the middle of it all.
What is one guilty pleasure song
Oh, goodness. Guilty pleasure song.
or like band?
What a great question.
I know.
Oh, guilty pleasure. Boys to Men.
Okay.
I mean, it's not really a guilty pleasure because they're amazing,
Uh-huh.
but I still love them so much.
I love that.
I'll pull out Boys to Men anytime.
Okay. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
We need to like plug. Gare might need to figure out how to put the song in.
Oh my gosh, I'm trying to think what my favorite is. I mean, I love Motown Philly, but End of the Road is probably my favorite.
Okay.
But they're so good. They're such good singers.
I love that.
I know, and they're so cute. They're so cute. What about you?
Well, I'm going between two. I mean, I already said that I love Nickelback.
If that's not your guilty pleasure, I don't know what is.
I know it is my guilty pleasure.
Uh-huh.
I love Nickelback.
Mm-hmm.
Not every song though. I don't love all of his songs. Some of his songs I'm like, meh.
Some of his songs.
Yes. Shut up.
You're pretty cool, so I don't get to give you shit about much, but
I know. I love How You Remind Me because it's such an old school song.
You remind me. Oh, I know which one that is.
Yeah, I'm not going to sing it because I'm a terrible singer.
So who's going to sing lullabies to Baby Gray? Preston, probably, right?
Yeah, because he can sing.
Yeah. We were talking to one of our colleagues, Megan, the other day, and Megan and Preston both have made for podcast voices.
I know. It's
They really do. Like, it's lovely. We'll have Megan on one of these days. She's got a great voice.
I know. Okay, so Gare, try to plug our songs.
Yes. I bet he could.
Hopefully.
I don't know if there's copyright issues. You can do a clip, like a 9-second clip, I think, without getting
just like
sued.
a clip of it.
I hope AI is accurate on that, but I think you can do a clip up to a certain point.
Yeah, you just do a clip. We don't need the whole song. That'd be insane.
That's what we'll do. We're gonna try to put a clip.
People would turn the podcast off if I played a whole Nickelback song.
If you said you were gonna hit play, everyone will stop listening. Everyone. We're gonna have to hit them with some surprise with the.
We could do a 9. Y'all can hang in there for 9 seconds.
Absolutely not.
You're fine.
Garrett hit them before they know what's happening. We should warn them. It's only 9 seconds. Don't
only
turn
9 seconds. Don't turn it off.
Just get through it. Just sit with it because you love Nat.
Yes.
And work on your distress tolerance skills, which we have not taught you yet.
It's perfect.
Box breathing.
Okay.
Perfect.
This is a quick note from your friendly neighborhood producer. A, copyright infringement is copyright infringement. B, the 9-second thing is an internet myth and has no basis in reality. And C, any Nickelback is too much Nickelback. On with the episode.
So today we're going to talk about psychopathic duos or killer duos because sometimes they're both psychopaths, many times they're not. So we're going to talk a little bit about that today.
Most of the time they're not.
Most of the time they're not. That's right.
One of them usually is, and then the other one's just a sad sack.
A sad sack, along for the ride.
Yep.
Getting manipulated, abused, all the things.
Yep.
So what comes up when you think of a killer duo? Not necessarily who, but maybe there's a duo that comes up. But what do you feel or think when I bring up this topic?
Well, I do have I'll just say it's the Columbine duo.
That's right. Eric and Dylan.
Yep. So they come to mind, but what else comes to mind? Sorry, I'm bouncing on my ball.
Yeah, she is. We're trying to get baby to flip again.
I know, y'all.
But by this time, when you're hearing this, she'll probably be here.
She might be here.
Yeah.
She will be here.
She should. She should be here by then.
Oh, no, yeah, she will be. Because I'm not going a second day after a second day. I'm not going a second past my due date. I will
Nope.
schedule things.
You're just going to will it.
Yeah. Yeah, she flipped again, y'all. So anyway, we're recording this now. She'll be here by the time you hear this, but
Yes.
her head is literally up in my rib cage.
Yeah, but now it's bouncing to try to get the baby to flip again.
Yep.
Last time you were bouncy, she flipped.
I know. I did all the weird yoga poses. I did the
Oh.
chiropractor thing. I'm gonna see my chiropractor tomorrow.
Yes.
I texted her while I was at the doctor's office.
Come on, baby Gray.
He was like,
Look around.
I know. It's fine. But so that duo comes to mind. What else comes to mind is what we already said, which is one of them is usually the ringleader.
Yep.
And the other one is miserable.
Yes.
And has some level of mental health issues and follows. So that's what comes to mind.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to break down the typologies. Any good criminology person, and true crime people know some of this, but criminology is the study of these things. There are typologies of different kinds of patterns of criminal behavior and violence, right? Yeah. So there's domestic violence typologies. There's all kinds of things, right?
Yes.
There's sexual abuse typologies. There's always, offenders fall into categories. And while we treat them as individuals, it's helpful to kind of know what bucket they're in sometimes because it gives us some insight into what to do.
Yep.
And where they're coming from. So the dynamics between the individuals can vary quite a bit, but I'm going to just give you kind of an overview.
Okay.
So the first one is having kind of what you were talking about a minute ago, a dominant and a submissive person.
Yes.
This is probably the most common that I've seen, and it's where one individual exerts significant control over the other, and often the dominant partner is a psychopath or sociopath manipulating and coercing the more submissive partner into participation, and the submissive partner may be motivated by fear, dependence, or a distorted sense of loyalty.
Yes.
And psychopaths are really good at making you feel like they built you. They kind of tear you down and then they rebuild you the way they want you to be.
Yes. Yep. You know what's really interesting? I'm thinking of an episode from Criminal Minds.
Oh, God, I love Criminal Minds so much.
And it was a couple.
I'm trying to think which one it is.
I know, I can't remember.
Earlier seasons or later seasons?
I couldn't tell you because I watched them again when the later seasons came out.
Oh.
So it's all like a little bit of a blend in my brain, but it was a couple. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, it was on Criminal Minds. It had to have been. And because it wasn't on SVU, it wasn't on Law and Order SVU because that's like other stuff. But
well, no, and Criminal Minds had a few of these different typologies on the show in different ways.
Yes.
Yeah.
But the one I'm thinking of is a couple, and the woman was the dominant.
Oh, yeah.
Which is interesting.
It is. We don't see that a lot, but absolutely can happen.
Well, and here's the thing. I'm not saying Ruby Frank and her husband were this at all.
Yeah.
But think of their dynamic, though.
Oh, yeah. She was the boss.
She was the boss. And then, but what's even more interesting is when she partnered up with what's her bucket?
Then Jody was the boss.
Jody was the boss.
Yep.
So that's interesting.
Yeah, and I would say Jody's definitely the more psychopathic of the two.
100%.
So I think that actually think part of why Ruby was attracted to Jody is because she wanted this idealized, strong partner. She just didn't have it in her husband.
Yeah, so she was
found
the
it in Jody.
one in between her and her husband, and then Jody. Yeah. Anyway,
I know. And then when we get into Columbine, we'll talk about Eric and Dylan some more.
Oh my gosh,
because they definitely fit in this for sure.
Yes.
They fit into this big time. So the second one is partners in crime. So this is your Bonnie and Clyde.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
More of an equal partnership where both individuals actively participate in the crimes. They may share similar motivations such as financial gain, thrill seeking, shared ideology. There can be still some level of dominant submissive, though, even in a partners in crime. too many cooks in the kitchen. When you're really engaged in criminal activities, there is typically a leader. And we see this even in our groups. We don't have 6, 7, 8 leaders. We usually have 1 or 2 clear leaders. And if
Yes.
you really look at each group, there's typically one real standout leader.
Yep. And then the other leaders that we see are following suit from them.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes. So, and the other thing is when we have a couple of alphas or an alpha and then somebody who's really unpredictable,
Yeah.
they typically butt heads.
Yep.
And so that's an interesting dynamic too. And I've seen many times a very controlled, dominant psychopathic, somebody on like the spectrum for psychopathy, really struggle with an unpredictable personality.
Yeah.
They hate it unless they can control it.
Yes.
I would say unless and until they can control it.
Yeah. Yep.
So that's partners in crime. Folie à deux. I had to have Garrett say that for me because I don't speak French. So I did it right.
Does Garrett speak French?
Folie à deux. Yes, Garrett speaks French. He's not like fluent. He took it in high school, but he can make sense of things. This is shared psychosis. So this is super, super, super rare. But when it happens, it's just big and hard to manage. So this is when there's a shared delusional belief system. So you have one individual who's usually the primary, and they influence the second to adopt their delusions, which can lead to violent acts. This highlights the power of influence and the potential for mental instability to fuel criminal behavior. So one of the things that's interesting is I think we see this in cults.
Oh.
I think we see this in cults where there's like a clear leader and a second, and this is also a man-woman dynamic sometimes. So when we think of another case, the Daybell Vallow case, that there's a little bit of, they're killers. They killed people. They're a duo.
Yeah.
But there was definitely like a belief system, delusional belief system.
Yeah.
And Chad Vallow had influence with that belief system. And then the partner became, right up in there.
Yes.
So, and then, you have this kind of power and control dynamic going on between the two, typically in this case as well.
You know what this reminds me of? Did you see the documentary of Twin Flames? Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
That is this.
That is this for sure.
This is that. Whatever.
This is that. This is
this is that. That is this.
This and that.
This is that.
This is absolutely that. You're so right.
Because both of them were really bought into this idea.
Yes.
And the wife, you can't really tell who is more in charge.
Yes.
Out of that couple. And I'm sorry, I'm shooting from the hip here when it comes to mentioning Twin Flame documentary, but it's on Netflix. Y'all go watch it.
It's really good.
It is really good. But when you think of that couple who's in charge, you can't really tell who's actually in charge.
Mm-mm. But and sometimes you can. So like if you think of Nixian.
Yes.
Right? Okay, so Keith, that's his name, right? Keith?
Uh-huh.
It makes no sense that he's in charge of anything. It still blows my mind.
I know. He looks insane.
He's just he's special. But here's the thing. He had influence over that woman who ended up being his like second in command.
Yeah.
And then this man ended up sleeping with her own daughter. Like she got sucked all the way into the system and this whatever. Never really benefited her much.
No.
And she ended up in a terrible position, but they had a little bit of a shared psychosis. They had a delusional belief system, and the primary influenced her in.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah. And that's kind of how the Twin Flame was. But they came up with it together.
I wonder who had the initial like stirring or like the start of it.
I want to say it was the husband.
Mm-hmm.
I want to say it was him. I would have to go back.
I feel like it was.
I think
we'll have to fact check us.
Yeah, I think he started it, but she was, I mean, immediately.
Absolutely. Well, and here's the other thing. So if you have a primary and a secondary, if one is higher functioning than the other, and the primary typically is a little bit higher functioning, the secondary is where the behavior can really go wild because
Right.
the primary might have their goals met by the secondary,
Yep.
who may be more likely to have instability.
Yep.
It's wild. I love this stuff so much. I'm such a nerd. Okay, the next one is ideologically driven duos. So these are duos that are motivated by a shared belief system. So not a delusional belief system, but just a shared belief system. So this could be political, religious, there's just a belief system, but it's not all the way in the delusional. Their
Okay.
crimes are often seen as acts of devotion to their cause. This type of duo can be particularly dangerous due to their unwavering commitment to their beliefs. So when I think about this one and the next one I'm going to talk about, the Boston bombers were a combination of
Oh,
this
yes.
one and the
Yes.
next one. And we
Okay.
can talk about that. So the next one is family duos.
Yeah.
So these are family members, like siblings, spouses who commit crimes together. The dynamic within these duos can be complex, influenced by family history, power dynamics, and emotional bonds. And so this can be a pretty disturbing one too. And sometimes this happens within the family and then starts to happen outside of the family. But in the case of the Boston bombers,
Yep.
you really did have this family duo, right? They had a familial relationship,
Yep.
but then also it was driven by their ideology
Yes.
and their radical beliefs. Can you think of any family duos? I mean, we did the Menendez brothers, but I don't know that they're really
They weren't really this.
yeah, I don't know that they're really a
Well,
criminal duo.
they kind of were.
I mean,
They
they killed their
kinda were.
parents, but they didn't kill anybody else. Did they rob people?
No, they robbed people.
They
And
robbed people.
remember, shoot, hold on. The older brother was the ringleader, like historically.
Oh, absolutely. There's a dominant submissive in that for
Yes.
sure.
I think they kind of fit this a little.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Because it's like the whole criminal empire, criminal environment within the family tends to
yes, Lyle
for
was the
this.
older one, and Lyle was the one who was more manipulative and was more of the ringleader, and Eric was the really emotional one.
Oh, I thought Eric was the more aggressive one.
No, Eric was the younger one,
Oh, that's right.
and he was way more emotional. He's the one who went to the psychologist and like
Oh,
spilled
yeah.
everything
And got all that exposed.
because he couldn't hang.
One of the other pieces of this, I would say also is gang violence.
Mm,
There's a familial, I mean, often an actual familial
yeah,
connection, but then also a family type bond within the gang. And they will sometimes get into some pretty gnarly criminal behavior and killing
yeah,
together.
yep,
And that gets into criminogenic needs, and that's like a shared value system too.
yep,
So that cuts across a couple of these too,
yes,
you know?
yep,
So it's important to remember that these aren't rigid categories. We just talked about a few that actually float across a couple of these, but it's
mhm,
important to look at the motivations and the dynamics behind their actions. And with Columbine, we're going to really deconstruct Eric and Dylan's relationship
yep,
because there's definitely elements of these in there. And with that comes prevention. How can you prevent? If you see this dynamic brewing, there are actually ways to diffuse this. And there's a few of those in Columbine that we missed that we're going to talk about.
I know, I'm so excited.
Me too. So this summer, Natalie and I are really excited to tell you guys that we are going to be speaking again at the conference this summer,
Uh-huh.
the DVOMB conference. And we had such a wonderful time last year. It was a big step for us and really fun. So we are speaking about treatment of
Yeah.
psychopathic clients. That is what we're speaking about this summer.
Y'all, it's going to be so great. We're going to have a
Oh,
study and everything.
and we get to, these are our people. Like, I just feel like they nerd out on all the same stuff. Like, imagine if all the forensic friends rode into town and you're like learning about criminal stuff all day and hot tubbing all night with a glass of wine. It is
That's what we're
in
gonna
the
be
mountains.
doing.
In the
I know.
mountains.
It's going to be
Wonderful.
amazing.
It's wonderful.
I know.
You'll have to hot tub with me even if you're not staying up there.
Well, I was going to say, I got to figure this out because I'm going to have gray at that point.
I think you should stay with your folks and come over and hot tub.
I know, but I love staying at the place.
It is really fun. And it's one of your places.
I know. I got married there.
You could.
Y'all vote in. Should I stay at the resort or
Where do you stay?
stay at my parents' house with baby Gray?
With baby Gray.
We are super excited to present on this because Janine is the expert on this. She's trained in the PCLR. I'm going to get trained as well because I'm fascinated. So Janine's like literally actually an expert, and I am a wannabe expert.
You know more than you're letting on. You know a lot about it.
What I was going to say is at the last job I worked at,
Yep.
I was the only one for a while, and then I wasn't, but I was still the head person of this program, of the DVMRT program.
Yes, which is more likely to work with these folks.
Exactly. So I spearheaded the DVMRT program at my last job. I was like the manager, if you will, or director of that part.
Yep.
Because I had started in that and ran groups with individuals who were on the psychopathy spectrum, because that was the only group we had at the time.
Well, and Natalie and I work together. We always joke that we spend the whole day in the office together, but it's kind of true.
Yeah.
We actually do assessments with clients together where we're assessing their needs and kind of what's going on underneath.
Yeah.
Where the behavior is showing up this way in treatment, or they're saying things that are a little bit psychopathic, and we're trying to figure out what is driving that. Is it a real need and a thought?
Yeah.
Is it something else? Are they on the spectrum? Is their lack of emotion and empathy more of just a developmental issue?
Yeah.
Is it trauma that's showing up?
And, I won't say too much, but I remember I worked with an individual a long time ago, and they were from somewhere else, like not in the US. And I remember they would tell me things, and it helped it click in my brain of how to actually treat these individuals. Because here's the thing, a lot of the times, not all the time, but a lot of the times, most individuals who fall on the spectrum don't want to live in the system.
Oh, yeah, no, they don't love it.
And they don't want to actually hurt people. It's just that they don't care if they do.
Well, and they're just sort of like,
it's their game.
I mean, if I go to prison, I'll just run prison. I mean, there's very little anxiety about it, but they would not prefer that.
It's whatever they can gain from something.
Exactly.
And so I remember I worked with this individual, and their literal goal was, I just don't want to live this way because it sucks for me.
Yeah, it's just not super fun. My bed's more comfortable at home than prison.
Yes. And, and I was like, great, let's treatment plan around that instead of me trying to teach you how to be what people would say a quote unquote, regular human. That's not in your DNA.
Well, and this gets into sociopath and some of those things that I still want to get into. And maybe I'll get into this same month. Maybe I'll do this in April.
Yeah.
Honestly, when you really talk to these folks, they're on a big continuum. It's not a label. We still do the shortcutty thing and talk about psychopaths as a group.
Yeah.
And that's okay. I mean, honestly, it's a shortcut, but we're talking about people with psychopathic behavior that's on a continuum.
Well, and here's the thing, and we'll get into this when we talk about Dylan and Eric. Both humans are seen as psychopaths.
Right.
From
outside people.
From outside people.
Yep.
Right? Because of the heinous stuff they did. Really, we have one genuine psychopath.
Absolutely. And the vast majority of people with psychopathic behavior are nonviolent.
Correct.
And of the ones that are violent, very few actually kill someone.
Correct.
They use enough violence to get their needs met, whatever that is.
Correct.
Right. And so it's going to be really interesting, I think, to talk about this. It's a passion of mine. This is prevention again, like right up front with an offender, with a person who might hurt people if they can't get their needs met. It just gets me all fired up because
here's
I can stop something potentially.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
Mm-hmm.
Therapists, those of you guys who are therapists who listen to us, I don't know if we have therapists who listen to us.
Oh, no, I know for a fact we do.
Oh, all of our people listen.
No, but I mean, I hear from people. I get messages. Oh, yeah.
Love this. So if you're a therapist, these people actually, if we can, I say these people, that's a terrible way to put it. Individuals on this
group of folks.
This population, there we go, landed the plane.
Mm-hmm.
This population's actually pretty fun to work with.
They're real fun to work with.
When you know what you're doing with them.
Yes, you need to know, or else they're going to drive your car home and you're going to walk. So like, it is important to know. I was joking with somebody that I know on the board. She is really, I mean, she knows more than me. We've got to have her on the podcast, but I was laughing with her because a case came up and we were kind of chuckling with each other about how we check the other person. It's like a chess game. And you hit these moments where you just have to be like, I see what you did there. Like, nope.
Yes.
Try again. And they will. My God, they will. They will try again and again and again and again.
And then you can also tell them, like, this is going to serve you nothing.
Exactly. And I just see it and I'm not that interested in it. And they hate that.
Yes.
So it's a very interesting chess game in therapy, but the motivation is good to help. And also the clients are not all bad. They're on a continuum. They're on a spectrum. They're coming from somewhere. And many of them are actually really hilarious. And also, not unlike some of your autism spectrum issues, developmental issues, OCD issues, like the behaviors can get a little wild in all of those subtypes. But really, one of the things they all have in common is they know deep down that they're a little bit different. And some of them are bothered by that and some of them are not.
Yes. And it's interesting when they are bothered by it, because we've worked with people who are bothered by it.
Yes.
You can get more buy-in.
Yes, absolutely.
And the ones that aren't bothered by it, they actually respect you more. And you call them on the stuff. And you say, I know what you're doing, right? They might be frustrated, but they're like, okay, my BS works on everybody else, but it's not working now. And that's what they need.
Yes. And we will share a ton of resources with you guys as we're getting ready this summer. We'll take you along with us. Nat and I are both reading monster research books, but also some really fun other resources and other books. And so we'll share some of that with you. And maybe we'll even share our talk with you guys. Who knows?
Yeah, that'd be fun.
Wouldn't that be fun?
Yeah.
So thanks for joining us, you guys. Stay tuned for Friday. And as always,
bye, forensic friends.
I'm Janine.
And I'm Nat.
And as always, thanks for listening and join us next week for more Crime, Psychology, and Heart.